You set your iPhone's charge limit to 90%, and you felt clever doing it. You'd heard 100% is bad for the battery. You'd heard 80% is the healthy number, but too annoying, too little juice to get through the day. So you split the difference. 90%, the responsible middle ground, the smart person setting. I have some bad news. That 90% you picked so carefully, it might be the single least useful choice on that entire menu. You didn't find the sweet spot, you found the setting that gives you the downsides of both worlds and the real benefit of neither, and the overnight charging fear that pushed you to do it in the first place. That was solved years ago by your phone automatically without you touching a single setting. So let me show you what's actually happening to your iPhone every night, because once you see it, you'll stop micromanaging a problem that doesn't exist. Let me paint you 3 pictures. Tell me if you've been here. Picture 1. You're in settings, you find the charge limit slider and you drag it. Not to 80, that feels too extreme. Not to 100, and that's the bad one everyone warns about. You land on 90, you nod to yourself. You feel like you just did something responsible and balanced and wise. You close the app feeling like a person who takes care of their things. You've done this, or you've thought about it. Picture 2, it's the middle of the night. You wake up to use the bathroom, you see your phone glowing on the charger at 100%, and a little jolt of guilt hits you. It's been full for hours. It's cooking, I'm ruining it. So you unplug it. In the dark, half asleep, then you plug it back in an hour before your alarm because now you're worried it won't be charged. Somebody in your house does this. Maybe it's you. Picture 3. You open battery health. It says 89%. Last time you looked, it said 91. And your stomach drops. It's degrading. It's dying. It's because I keep charging it overnight. I knew it. So you double down. Tighter limits. More guilt. More fiddling. You've turned charging your phone into a source of low-grade anxiety. Every one of these comes from caring, from wanting your expensive phone to last, and every one of these is either pointless or aimed at completely the wrong target. So here's the one sentence I want you to walk away with today. The sentence that explains this entire video. Overnight charging was never the thing killing your battery. Your iPhone solved that problem years ago. And the fix you bolted on top is quietly making things worse. That's the myth. The idea that leaving your phone plugged in all night slowly overfills it, cooks it, wears it out, and that you have to personally intervene to save it. None of that is how a modern iPhone works. Let me prove it. Let's start with the fear at the root of all of this, that your iPhone overcharges overnight. Here's the truth, flat out. Your iPhone cannot overcharge. It is physically not able to. When your battery hits its target, whether that's 80% or 100%, the phone stops pulling power into the battery. Full stop. It doesn't keep forcing electricity into a full cell until it bursts. The charging chip cuts it off. After that, if the phone needs power to stay on, it sips a trickle straight from the wall, not from the battery. Think of it like a glass under a tap with a sensor. The moment the water reaches the line, the tap shuts off. It does not keep pouring and flooding the counter. The old mental image, your phone overflowing all night like a bathtub with the tap left running, is just wrong. There's no overflow. The tap turns itself off. Here's the way to really feel it. Think about the iPhone sitting on display in an Apple store. They're plugged in, powered on for years, not months, years. If overnight charging destroyed batteries, every display phone on Earth would be a dead brick by lunchtime. They're fine, because the phone stops charging when it's done. It always has. So no, you are not cooking your phone by leaving it plugged in overnight. That's not the mechanism. But there is a real thing that wears batteries down, and it's the reason all this advice exists in the first place. Let's talk about it. Here's what actually ages a lithium battery. Sitting at a high charge for a long time, especially when it's warm. Notice what that is and what it isn't. It is not the act of charging. It's the sitting. It's your battery pinned at 100% for 8 straight hours while you sleep. That's the genuinely mild but real stressor. A full battery is like a rubber band stretched all the way tight. Hold it there for hours every night, and over months it slowly loses a little of its snap. So the instinct behind the overnight fear isn't totally crazy. Sitting at 100% all night for years does add a little wear. The problem is the solution people reach for, because Apple already built the actual fix, turned it on by default, and most people have no idea it's running. It's called optimized battery charging, and what it does, is genuinely clever. Clever enough that once you understand it, you'll stop unplugging at 3 a.m. forever. Here's the trick. Your iPhone quietly learns your sleep schedule. It watches for about 2 weeks when you plug in at night and when you pick the phone up in the morning. Then it starts doing something sneaky and kind. You plug in at 11 p.m. The phone charges up to 80%, and then it just stops. It sits at 80, the healthy low stress zone, for most of the night. And then maybe an hour before your alarm, it wakes up and finishes the last 20%, so you grab a phone at 100% that was only actually full for a few minutes instead of 8 hours. Sit with how considerate that is. Your phone is timing its own charging around your sleep, specifically to keep itself out of the high stress zone as long as possible. It's doing the exact thing you were trying to do by unplugging in the dark, except it does it perfectly every night while you actually sleep. So the person sneaking out of bed to unplug their phone, the phone had already handled it. They lost sleep to solve a problem that was solving itself. And here's the twist that makes it almost funny. If you power your phone off and then charge it, you can actually switch this smart system off because the software that runs it isn't fully awake. So the extra careful move of shutting down and charging can be slightly worse than just leaving the phone on and plugged in. The careful instinct backfires. Okay, now let's get to the star of the show. The 90% mistake. On iPhone 15 and later, Apple gave you a charge limit slider. 80, 85, 90, 95, or 100%. And a lot of people, wanting to be smart, slide it to 90 and call it a day. Here's why that specific number is the worst of the bunch. The whole point of a charge limit is to keep your battery out of that stressful top zone. The 80 to 100 range where the chemistry is most aggressive. That's where the actual wear happens. So if you're going to cap it, the number that does real work is 80. That's the one that keeps you fully out of the danger zone. 90% barely dips a toe out of it. You're still parking your battery high, still in the stressful range, just slightly less. You get almost none of the protection of 80%, but you do get the downside. Less battery to get through your day, which means you'll plug in more often, run more partial charges, and in some cases, cycle the battery more, not less. Worst of both worlds. A little pain, almost no gain. And here's the kicker that undoes the whole exercise. Whatever limit you set, 80, 90, whatever, your iPhone will still occasionally charge all the way to 100% anyway. It has to. It does this every so often to recalibrate, to keep its own battery percentage readings accurate, so you can't actually lock your phone out of 100% no matter how hard you try, short of standing over it watching every single charge. The limit was never the airtight seal you imagined. But here's the part that should really take the pressure off. There's real-world testing on this, and the results are almost anticlimactic. Someone ran an iPhone with an 80% charge limit for a full year. Someone else ran the same phone model for a year on plain old optimized battery charging. No manual limit, just the default. After a year, the strict 80% phone landed around 94% battery health. The default don't think about it phone, around 96%. The one that just left the phone alone actually came out slightly healthier. Let that sink in. A year of disciplined micromanaging, capping at 80, never getting a full day's charge, babying the thing, landed in basically the same place as doing nothing but leaving the smart default on. The obsession bought you nothing, possibly less than nothing. So no, setting your limit to 90 didn't make you the responsible one. It made you the person doing extra work for a rounding error. Now, if the charge limit is mostly theater, what actually matters? Because something does. Let me give you the real villain, the one nobody obsesses over because it's boring and invisible. Heat. Heat is the #1 killer of your battery, and it's not close. Here's the chemistry in plain language. The hotter your battery gets, the faster every damaging reaction inside it speeds up. Roughly, for every 10 degrees Celsius warmer, the aging doubles. Your iPhone is happiest between about 16 and 22 degrees Celsius, cool room temperature. Push it past 35 and you're actively damaging the cell. In fact, if your iPhone gets too hot while charging, it will refuse to go past 80% on its own, specifically to protect itself. So connect this to your nightly habits. Charging your phone under your pillow? That pillow traps every bit of heat with nowhere to escape. You're insulating a device that's trying to cool down. Charging it in a thick case while it's plugged into a fast charger, heat on heat. Leaving it on a sunny windowsill or a hot car dashboard? You just did more damage in one afternoon than a month of gentle overnight charging. And this is where the fast charging is bad fear finally makes sense and gets corrected. Fast charging itself isn't really the problem. Fast charging makes heat, and the heat is the problem. Fast charge on a cool, hard surface with the case off. No big deal. Fast charge under a blanket in a warm room every night? That's the thing quietly aging your battery. Not the speed, the warmth. So the real danger combo is high charge and high heat at the same time. A phone pinned at 100% hot for hours. That's the actual battery killer. And almost nobody worries about it because they're too busy sliding a charge limit to 90 and feeling accomplished. All right, enough. Here's the honest playbook. What to actually do in order of what matters. Number 1. Leave optimized battery charging on and stop fiddling. It's on by default. It learns your schedule. It keeps you at 80% overnight and tops off before you wake. If you've been turning it off or overriding it, stop. Let it do its job. This is the single best setting, and it's free and automatic. Number 2. If you insist on a manual charge limit, either go to 80, which actually does something, or just leave it at 100 with optimized charging on. 90 and 95 are the mushy middle that mostly buys you inconvenience. Don't overthink it, honestly. For most people, the default beats the tinkering. Number 3, and this is the one that truly matters. Keep it cool. No charging under pillows or blankets. Take the thick case off if the phone runs hot while charging. Don't leave it baking in sunlight or a hot car. Don't fast charge and game on it at the same time. Heat is the real enemy. Treat cool as the actual battery-saving move, because it is. Number 4, stop the guilt rituals. Stop unplugging at 3 a.m. Stop panicking every time battery health ticks down a point. Some drop is completely normal and unavoidable, and it has almost nothing to do with your overnight charging. And don't let it die to 0% either. Deep draining is far worse for the battery than any overnight charge ever was. If you want the one tiny habit that saves you, leave the smart default on and keep the phone cool. That's the whole game. Everything else is you doing chores your phone already finished, so let's bring it home. Overnight charging was never the villain. Your iPhone can't overcharge. It parks itself at 80% while you sleep, and it tops off right before you wake. All on its own, all for free. The thing that actually wears your battery is sitting hot and full, and the 90% fix you added does almost nothing about that while quietly costing you convenience. Your battery was never as fragile as you thought. You just needed to stop helping it in all the wrong ways and let the phone, which is genuinely smart about this, do the one job it's already very good at. If this changed how you look at that phone charging on your nightstand, do me a quick favor and hit that like button. It genuinely helps this reach the people out there still unplugging at 3 a.m. out of guilt. And be honest with me in the comments. What's your charge limit set to right now? 80, 90, 100? And did you actually choose it? Or has it just been sitting on some number for months while you felt vaguely responsible about it? Tell me. I want to know how many of you are 90% people.